All right, this is Prep Sports Now, a Las Vegas Sun podcast. I'm Ray Brewer with a special guest today. Mike Grimala usually covers UNLV for us. He's done some high school phone calls. He knows everything about anything and anything about everything. Michael, what a prestigious opportunity for your career to sit in here for Case Kiefer.
I usually send me out to a high school game once per season or so, and then some nights I'll work the desk and take the scores, and so I'm no expert by any means. Like, I'm no Ray Brewer or Case Kiefer, but I'm going to try and hold my own somewhat.
Yeah, well, shout out to the Las Vegas Aviators and A's and Las Vegas Aviators for their sponsorship of Prep Sports. Now, Mike, I don't know if you've ever been out to Las Vegas Stadium, but it is nice out there. You feel like you're at a big league game.
I have been there, and it was great. It was a great experience.
Okay, you're a Red Sox fan, right?
I am a Red Sox fan.
Yeah.
But
it is what it is. I'm a Pirates fan. You can't win to lose sometimes, but it is what it is. But I thought we'd start the show, Mike, with 5 things we learned about whatever from last week. First, did you watch the Gorman
I know where
game?
you're going to start. I did see some of the Gorman game. Not all of it, but I did watch it, and I know, especially when it got close in the second half, and they were making the comeback. Big game, obviously. Huge, and especially the implications for what it sets up for next week.
Okay, well, I went to a wedding, so I leave the house, they're down 21-14. Of course, the venue I'm at has 0 reception. So I checked the score. It's 21-20. They had to settle for some field goals. They end up winning 29-21. Big-time win on national TV all the way across the country in Florida. Great defensive effort by Gorman. They scored 19 unanswered points to close the game. They had 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter, and it was the national champions answering the bell. Great pass from Melvin Spicer to Derek Meadows, a complete dime.
Beautiful throw.
Did you see that on the internet?
I did.
My gosh, what a throw.
That's a receiver with half a step, 50 yards down the field, and just laid it right in.
Oh, what a perfect pitch and catch. Great play for Gorman. And it's one of these things where in your head you're thinking, are they going to lose? Are they going to lose? Because they were a little sluggish early. And, they're down. They end up taking the lead with about 6 minutes to play, 6:52 to play, actually. And just a really good, they found their stride offensively, and they tightened up when they needed to defensively. And big win for Vegas.
For me, as a layman, you mentioned it, they had to catch their stride on offense. For me, as I was following it, it was like the offense is they're just a little bit out of sync, but you could tell they're almost finding their stride. Can the defense keep them in the game long enough? Can the defense get 3-4 stops in a row to really give the offense that opportunity to come back and win the game? And they did. That's pretty much how they won it. The defense stepped up, they got the stops, they got turnovers, gave the offense a chance. He said they were kicking field goals for a little while, and then they made the plays. They finally put some drives together and took the lead. So really complimentary both sides of the ball. But I thought the defense was really what gave them a chance to win it and gave them enough time to turn it around.
Yeah, so important to note that Gorman trying to find its stride offensively is unlike other programs trying to find their stride, because when you're playing the nation's number 10 ranked team on the road, it's not easy. It's not like just going to the clipboard and saying, "Oh yeah, you got to make this little."
Yeah, these are not practice reps.
Correct.
These are against real good quality opponents, the teams that are well coached. Division I players,
on both sides. Yeah, it's a disgusting.
It's not just Bishop Gorman giving themselves issues. You've got to acknowledge that there's talent on the other side as well.
Yeah, so of course that sets up. Gorman's now on a 27-game win streak. They last lost in 2022 to Mater Dei of California. Of course, Gorman's next game, not this Friday, but next Friday in LA against Mater Dei, 1-2, arguably the de facto national championship game. Take whoever you want, but it's going to be a lot of attention in Las Vegas for a game of all games. games.
Yeah, that is big. Does Gorman going to travel to that game? You think? Like
Yeah.
it's like fan wise and like
It'll be like a college team. They'll
Yeah.
have a ton of people in the crowd. They had a ton of people in the crowd at Florida. You just look out at their coaching staff on game day. They got 13 coaches. It's like a college team, right? You've got it's just high school football at the highest level with D1 guys on everywhere, and of course Gorman's arguably its top lineman is still battling an injury. He didn't play for a second game, so you add him back to the mix, and they're going to be that much better.
offensive lineman.
Offensive lineman, yeah. So we'll talk next week about Gorman Mater Dei and the game of all games. Reminds me a little bit of when Gorman played St. John Bosco, when St. John Bosco had Josh Rosen as quarterback. It was basically the de facto national championship game, even though it was in early September.
Yeah.
You could tell the way it lines up. Like Gorman won't be challenged
After
after Friday. So they'll be undefeated with 2 top 10 wins, rock solid resume. This is, in my opinion, the de facto national championship game.
Yeah, and I'm sure if there's any team that's like ready and knows how to handle those sort of expectations and those sort of stakes, it's going to be Bishop Gorman because they're used to being there. Like this is not the time, as you said, this is not their first time they've played in a de facto national championship game.
Yeah, so they're going to be ready to go. It's why you go to Gorman. Okay, the next thing, I got to give props, Michael, to Desert Pines. I kind of wrote their obituary a little bit 2 weeks ago. They had so many players transfer out. Like Sierra Canyon, where Bronny's kids go to school, has made it a point to just raid the Desert Pines roster to populate its team. So they lost a lot. They only returned like 4 starters, which is unheard of. They had 13 freshmen start. Think about that.
That's a lot of
13 freshmen start on Friday against Centennial. They won 34-33. They stopped a 2-point conversion in the final seconds for the win. I'm going to give you a name. You write it down in your little notebook. Michael Taylor. He's the truth. Real deal. Caught a touchdown. He's a tight end DN. Caught a touchdown.
What year is he?
Freshman.
He's one of those scrawny freshmen.
He's built like a brick house. Touchdown in the first half, and then at the end of the game, broke through the defensive line to help on that
The
game.
2-point stop.
On the game tackle. So big win for them. They got some momentum. There's such a tradition and history there of all the D1 kids that they sent through. Obviously Desert Pines, not in the greatest of areas, but it's a football factory. Marcus Williams went off for 200 yards. He's a sophomore. Just so happy for those kids when people leave your program, it makes you feel like, they're jumping off the ship before I'm not a transfer guy. I understand the rules. I understand that football in this day and age with the portal and the NCAAs has bled into high schools and people are leaving. But I'm a neighborhood guy. I'm a Shap Cowboy. I'm going to Shap. I'm playing 4 years at Shap because my neighbor played at Shap and my brother played at Shap. And for Desert Pines to see this roster flip like that and to still have that to fight for your tradition together, big win. I love the East Side.
For the kids that stay, it's an opportunity as well. When people are leaving the program, it's an opportunity for those freshmen to step up and play.
Yeah,
I'm surprised that so many kids would want to transfer, like in high school, just socially. Like, I have a hard enough time making friends when I was 14 years old. I'm not moving to a new school just to play a sport and where I don't know any. Like, I don't know. That's foreign to me. But
for the hopes of potentially becoming a Division I college player.
What else did we learn this week?
So how about my Green Valley Gators, CK? I mean, I just called you Case.
That's the highest compliment that I could get on the high school podcast.
Okay,
Thank you.
Green Valley, they went to so Green Valley's got a chance. And let me tell you, who do you think? Are you a big fan of Who is the best pound for you cover UNLV?
Yes.
Who's the best pound for pound football player on the UNLV roster?
Jacob DeJesus.
Without question.
Yes.
5'7",
5'7", 150 pounds, All-American kick returner, great wide receiver.
Best pound for pound player in town, in my opinion, is the wide receiver from Green Valley, Theo Educland. Probably saying that wrong. I'm pointing it to on my screen.
That's as close as I could get. So.
Okay, so had a long touchdown pass for a touchdown, a touchdown reception from Ben Parker. Ben Parker, first varsity start, 3 touchdowns, winning 2-point conversion. Coach Powell, first game, said, I'm going for 2 in the final seconds. They got a 2-point conversion. Big win at Utah against the Class 6A school. Not bad.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
Who crushed them last year. So the Gators might have a chance from Green Valley. Ben Parker again, quarterback keeper, 4 minutes to play, 2-point conversion. Bill Powell, old school guy from California, retired out here to be with his grandkids. Job got open at Green Valley. He's the man. The Gators are there. Long touchdown pass. Parker to Theo.
Theo Edquilang.
My guy. Okay.
Edquilang.
Number 4. Going back to my personal life. My neighbor. His son. My neighbor's a great guy. I love him.
Okay, because it either goes one or two ways.
No,
I don't know if
great
this is
guy.
going to be a you're at
Great
war with
guy.
your neighbor or you love your neighbor. So it's
No,
good.
great guy. Love him.
Okay.
His son is playing 9th grade football at our local high school. We're in the same neighborhood.
Okay.
I don't want to give it away because everybody will know who his son is. So he had his first football game ever on Thursday night. My team won 60-0. Our neighborhood team.
Okay.
9th grade football. The other team only had 12 players
Total? So
Every kid had to play every
offense,
snap.
defense, and a kicker.
Whatever it is. Just 12 kids, including the punters. Kids are flipping both ways.
Mm-hmm.
It's unsustainable. And so my neighbor's kid has got some size to him. He's worked hard all summer. As a freshman, you only get like 7 games because not enough teams have games. Are you a fan of the running clock? Because
Yes.
you are.
I think as a reporter from my covering my high school
Correct.
days, best thing in the world is when they make the announcement like we're going to go with this running clock because then you know, hey,
You're
this game is going to be over in 17 minutes no matter what. And
So I'm a fan of that on the varsity because you don't want to get anybody hurt, even though you're trying to hustle kids in there to get them playing time. But on the freshman level, when it's about development, do you want
that's a good point.
Right?
You want the reps and you want
the
development.
reps? The kids are getting used to. My guy ended up playing. He's a starting D lineman. He played like 5 plays.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, yeah, within reason, I would like probably the young players to get more because it's not so much about the scoreboard.
Correct. Now the
at
opposing
that
team
level.
though only had 12 kids. 4:00 start. Las Vegas Heat. It's probably good that they ran the clock. I could see how running the clock wouldn't be the end of the world because you've got the health and well-being of 12 kids that you got to look out to.
You want them to go home with 12.
12 so
12
they
if
could
they
try to
want.
up it to
Yeah.
whatever. A lot of teams, which brings me to my 5th point, there was one team, Sunrise Mountain, I don't care, I'll say it, had to forfeit last week because they couldn't get enough kids cleared to play in the game.
Cleared
Well, because we have a
academically or
rule.
medically
No,
or
medically.
medically.
You got to get a physical, and after you get the physical, you got to have a certain amount of practices, and then you could play. Well, Sunrise Mountain, really, really poor area. Really, 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 really poor area, right? They're hurting with numbers. They got to recruit kids. When school starts, you can't afford the physical.
Yeah.
So they gotta coordinate with the doctor to come in and pay the doctor to give all the kids the physical, and they can't get to 10 practices in, or whatever the number is. I think it's 10.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, the whole point of high school sports is what?
To teach the kids and to serve the kids.
Participation.
Yeah.
It's participation. So we're 3 years removed from the season being canceled because of COVID? Is it 3 or 4? It was 2020, right? Fall 2020.
2019-20 season. 19-20 season.
No, fall 20 was high school.
Okay,
football.
fall 20. Winter 1920.
And I just hate to see kids miss out on an opportunity to play because they can't afford because their situation is preventing them from getting things done. Now, with that said, everybody has to take a physical. Everybody has to fill out the paperwork. Other schools with limited means, they get it done. But you'll see participation numbers go up from week 1 to week 2 because so many people are behind the 8 ball getting all the paperwork done. Brings me to another participation story. Cheyenne last week played at Pahrump. Bus tire blew out. Not the first time that's happened on the way up the hump to paperwork.
Okay.
The coach was like, Coach DePriest, great guy. He's like, dude, we're playing in this game. They waited on the side of the road basically for 3 hours to get this tire fixed, pulled into town, got off the bus, and played the game. End up losing, it's like 29-7 or something, give or take. But he's like, dude, you can't take a game away from the kids.
Yeah.
You don't go through all this for, we've had Lightning cancel games last year, COVID cancel games. It's all about participation, right? Nobody's going to remember 30 years from now a game
where you just turned around because you got a flat tire and you spent the night not doing anything.
Yeah, a bunch of kids from deep North Las Vegas got a flat tire halfway up to Nye County.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Can we get a bus that has all of its tires in place?
Or I don't know how to change a spare tire on a bus. I could change a spare tire on a car, but I don't know how it goes with a bus. I couldn't. But do they have spare tires? Do buses have spare tires?
I don't know how it works.
Right? Neither do I.
Do they have to bring another bus up there and have everybody get on a new bus? Or
do you call the parents and be like, hey, come get your kids and get them to this game?
Do they call AAA? Does the guy from AAA come?
So that team that only had 12 players, do they rent out a full-sized bus? Or are they taking like a shuttle bus, like a shuttle van?
I think everybody has to go on the green. If you're in the school district, you got to go on the green CCSD bus.
Okay.
To get there.
So that's how all high school teams are traveling.
Or the yellow.
Okay.
I said green.
Yeah. Which I've never seen a green bus for schools.
Yellow. But I feel bad for both kids. I feel bad for Team A, who might not have had everybody cleared or just doesn't have enough boys in the school to have 3 levels. And then shout out to them for trying to make it work, right? Because a lot of schools would say, you know what, we're just going to combine the JV team and the 9th grade team. I've always said, so in Ohio, where my family's from, they have Buckeye Local, right? Which is, the steel mills have closed in all these small towns, and we've had to consolidate. And now we've got just Buckeye Local, which is a combination of kids from like 3 different schools. I've always said for 9th grade football, we should just have like Southeast Local, where El Dorado, Sunrise Mountain, Desert Pines have a team.
Yeah, the schools are separate, but the teams draws from all the schools.
Yeah. Now the unfortunate part is I like playing with you. Now we want to play together. So now we're all going to go over to Desert Pines because they've got the better program, and then your varsity team now at El Dorado isn't good.
Yeah, it's probably an unintended consequence where you would be building feeder programs to the elite teams when kids become of age.
Even though Sunrise Mountain will tell you that they're one of the elite teams. But anyways, Mike, we do the picks. Last week I went 14-8. I'm 20-12, which is not great for me.
I was going to say, how does that compare to your normal?
I was 87% in 2023. So I'm not. I've missed out on. There's 2 teams that I can't get right. I'm 0-2 on Slam and 0-2 on Faith. But I'm going to go ahead and give everybody my picks if you want to run them down.
I'm just going to start with game 1. Liberty versus Mililani, Hawaii. Big Polynesian Classic over, and it's called the 9th Island Classic. Great day of football over at Liberty. Liberty is the host. They bring in a ton of kids from the islands. As you know, Liberty's kind of like the Polynesian high school in town.
Milani is probably the state favorite in Hawaii. Remember, it's tough to travel from the islands here.
Definitely.
I got Liberty with a close win against Milani, 29-28. Go Pats.
Yeah. Coronado versus Kailua, also of Hawaii. Another team coming over here.
Same event. Coronado is the what's the undercard, if you will, and they're going to kill him. Aiden Krause, 5 touchdowns last week against Sierra Vista. He's going to Georgetown. He could really sling the ball around. He might be the best quarterback in town, even though we'll talk about Arborview later, but our boy Thaddeus Thatcher had 5 tutties in the first half last week. But shout out to Aiden Krause, AK as they call him, and the Cougars are going to roll.
Okay, that's the undercard. So that's the 2 Ninth Island games. What about this Idaho showcase where it's is Shadow Ridge going up to Idaho to participate against Coeur d'Alene?
Yeah, Shadow Ridge at the Rocky Mountain Rumble. Cool little tournament. They play it at inside Idaho State every year.
That's the dome. They got
the
up
dome.
there.
The Kibbe Dome, I think, is Idaho.
Okay.
I don't know what Idaho State is. But either way, I got Shadow Ridge. I think our football's better here than in Idaho. So I love the Mustangs, who won their season opener last week against Spanish Springs. They beat a Reno school.
Okay. Now we got Desert Hills of Utah at Centennial. They're coming to Vegas.
Yeah, Desert Hills lost on a field goal at the buzzer against Faith Lutheran in the opener. Centennial lost at the buzzer against Desert Pines. I think Centennial gets it done.
Okay. And next game. Desert Pines hosting Ayala, California.
Yeah, so like we talked about earlier, Desert Pines has got a lot of young players. Ayala of California has a lot of seniors. I just think the difference in bodies between a 14-year-old and a 17 and 18-year-old does the trick.
Okay, now we're going on to Las Vegas at Rancho.
The Bone Game.
The Bone Game.
That's a game.
This is a rivalry game?
Rivalry game. One of the oldest rivalries in Nevada. Las Vegas and Rancho used to be located in downtown near each other. Now, in 94 or 92, when I was a sophomore, Vegas moved to its current location on East Sahara. Vegas has beaten Rancho every year since 96. And I don't see that ending anytime soon, even though the teams are getting closer to each other. Vegas rolls.
What is the Bone? Do we know that? Do you want to give me some history?
The Bone is an old cow bone from a butcher in downtown. It was donated to the rivalry, and it's been bronzed.
Okay, so it's a big bronze bone.
And
that symbolizes the rivalry.
Yeah, and it's.
And do they trade it back and forth among the winners?
Okay, yeah, and it's a big deal. Vegas's main chant, even in the off season, is "The Bone Stays Home." They get T-shirts and the whole 9 yards.
Okay. Bonanza hosting Spring Valley.
Another rivalry game, Michael. This is called the Banner Game.
The Banner.
They literally have a banner like you would hang on a fence to say, like, hey, Italian American Club doing a barbecue Friday night. Come get your barbecued pizza or whatever. And the banner goes back and forth. It's quirky, but it's meaningful over there in the South Central West. And I got the Grizzlies winning 20-12.
Okay. And then Democracy Prep facing your Shap Cowboys.
Yeah, Democracy Prep's 2-0. They handled Western pretty easily last week. I'll take Democracy Prep.
Ooh, that's a tough one for you. That's got to hurt.
Yeah, cheating on myself, but it's okay.
Okay. Legacy at Arborview.
They call this the Battle of the Horns, right? You've got the Legacy Longhorns and the Arborview Aggies, and there's a horn thing that goes back and forth. I've been really, really high on Legacy. They won the 4A state. Oh, they won the Class 5A Division III state title last year. They've got a player, Dominic Oliver, who I'm going to say this out loud, and Arborview's going to hate me, but he's probably going to be the best player on the field.
Okay.
And everybody's going to be like, oh my God, what about the Thatcher brothers, right? Thaddeus Thatcher, who threw for 5 touchdowns last week, and his brother Christian, who's committed to the University of Utah, going to become the all-time leading tackler in Nevada. And Dominic Oliver just has a second level of speed. And I'm going to be interested to see how he does against Arborview, which is without question a top 3 team in Nevada, coming off a 44-43 win last week in California to open the season. Thatcher threw for 5 tutties in the first half, and
In
I'd
the
like
first
to
half.
and their offense looked good. They were slinging around. They're going to win big. Arborview keeps the horns. Also, need to apologize to Arborview and Palo Verde. Did not pick them last week. I didn't realize they were playing on Saturday. Mm-hmm. Max Preps does the schedule day by day.
Okay.
I didn't look on Saturday, even though I had Gorman on there because I knew Gorman was playing on ESPN.
Okay. Do you get credit for those in your picks? How is that tabulated?
I would have went.
Percentages?
I would have went. I either would have went 1-1 and 0-2.
Uh-huh.
Palo was playing Reno. I would never pick anybody against Reno. Reno won. And Arborview was in California, and one of my logics is Vegas against California. So I might have went 0-2. I might have saved myself.
You're too honest. El Dorado at Clark.
Clark won big in week 1. El Dorado didn't score. Clark, who has a lot of new players, is going to win a really ugly, close game.
Durango at Sierra Vista.
I got Sierra Vista. I just don't see Durango scoring enough points to keep up with them.
Okay. What about Desert Oasis at Pinecrest? Give me
Desert Oasis 2-0, massively better than Pinecrest.
Losey at Boulder City.
Losey is the state favorite for me, even without their quarterback, who is working his way back from an injury.
Okay. Sunrise Mountain at Virgin Valley.
Sunrise Mountain is big and nasty and great, and if they got all their Jimmies and Joes, they're gonna be trouble. I got Sunrise Mountain.
Silverado hosting Maple Mountain of Utah. Sounds very pleasant there.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Maple Mountain of Utah. I'm probably going to research it a little deeper before I make my pick. Check our picks online at sun.com.
DeMonte Ranch at Faith Lutheran.
I haven't been right on Faith all year. They've won 2 close games. Shout out to Mike Sanford for getting it done over there. But I'm taking the Crusaders this week against a Reno school.
Okay, so another team that you said you were having trouble with, Slam Nevada at Dana Hills of California.
Yeah, I'm really shocked that Slam had such a poor performance last week at Mojave, Arizona. I had them winning 41-0, and they lost straight up. I'm going with Dana Hills just because anybody going to California, I just think California's at a different level.
Cimarron at Moapa Valley.
It's like going to play BYU in Provo. Nobody's winning in Overton.
That's tough.
Give me the Pirates.
That's tough. Green Valley hosting Wayne Hills of New Jersey. They're coming across the country.
Yeah, how many times you get a team come across the country to play at Green Valley? An odd little matchup, but the Gators are 1-0. They're clicking on all cylinders. This is the opener for Wayne Hills.
Western at Del Sol.
God, you got to give a shout out to the matchmakers here. 2 teams that are both trying to get up and running. I'm going to take Western, and I can't believe I'm saying this, in a coin flip game. In fact, I'm going to write here, anyone have a coin?
Okay. Canyon Springs at Mojave.
Okay, Canyon Springs lost at Carson City 2 weeks ago. Mojave got beat at home by Damon of Hawaii. Canyon Springs, I think, is the Kings of North Las Vegas. I'll take the Pioneers.
And then finally, Valley at Cheyenne.
I'm going to go with my guy. I think the Desert Shields are a little further along on the rebuild. I'll go with the Desert Shields of Cheyenne. Michael, you're an angel for doing this. All the people in the prep world love you. Next week, we'll have our first special guest host. We're going to be looking at Henderson Bowl with the voice of the Basic Wolves. Thank you one more time to the A's and Las Vegas Aviators for your support of Prep Sports Now and high school sports. For Michael, I'm Ray. Have fun on Friday nights.